Hey everybody, welcome back to Ready Steady Play. Today we're going to be playing Dark Souls the board game, which I understand is based on some kind of video game. I'm joined by Chris and Dark Souls the board game. Hello.
This is the AI that will be fighting against.
Chris, you know all about the video games, don't you?
I do know all about the video
Good, shut up about them, because we're going to talk about the board game. You can talk about that shit later. Ben, how on earth do we play Dark Souls the board game?
I'll tell you.
So, this is Dark Souls the board game, and here we've got one of the character sheets. You get 4 in the base game. This represents your character's life, stats, and any equipment they have equipped. So, the game is a cooperative dungeon crawl in its simplest form, and it's very hard. The way the stats work is they're pretty much used to equip certain items. So if you see here, certain items have a stat requirement along the top, and that's pretty much the only thing this stat thing's used for. There's a health and stamina bar, but it's on the same track. So when you take certain actions, you'll be putting up stamina from the left-hand side, and when you take damage, you'll be putting wounds down from the right-hand side. And if they ever meet in the middle, your character dies, and then everyone loses on your team.
So it's properly cooperative.
Yeah, so one person dies, everyone loses. And you sort of have a shared life pool, which is this spark meter here. So depending on the number of players, you'll start with a certain number of sparks. If it ever has 0 sparks and someone dies, all the players lose the game. Otherwise, you just respawn back at the campfire, which I'll show you what that is in a second. So, the stats on the cards are used for combat. So here's a weapon. I've explained what the stat requirements are on the left. This is the range. This is the attack abilities. So this here means 0 stamina to roll 1 black dice, which look like this. And this is 3 stamina to roll 1 black dice, and you add 1 to whatever you roll on the cards. On the bottom left, I'll show you using some armor. So some weapons have these defense stats. But the bottom left is physical defense. The next one is resist, which is used against defending from magical attacks. The next thing is how many dodge dice you get, which look like this. They're 50-50. And I'll explain how dodging works. And the bottom right is your upgrade slots. So on the character sheet, there are slots for upgrades for weapons and armor. And this denotes how many upgrades you can have for that one particular piece of equipment. So I'm going to show you the board now. Last thing actually, this is the Estus flask. You can use this once per spark, and you will regenerate everything along here if you use this during your activation. This you can use for a reroll, and it's the same thing. It regenerates as well once per spark.
But you only get 1 die.
Yeah, you can only reroll 1 die that you've rolled using that thing. You can only reroll 1 of them.
Make it count.
Handful.
Yep. This is the taunt value, so you use this to break ties if no one has the aggro token, which I'll explain how that works in a second.
Who's getting attacked right now?
Yep.
Yeah.
And finally, in the top left, I don't know if you can see it because of the glare, each character has a special ability which they use this token to trigger, and that happens once per spark as well. So I'm going to show you how the board mechanics work. So here we have a tile which we move into, and every tile will have an encounter the first time you move into it. The heroes come in through a door, and then you sort of turn over the card, and you read what spawns there. So here, if you can see on the top line, we spawn 1 hollow crossbowman on that symbol space, which is here. And then here we put a hollow swordsman and a hollow crossbowman on the other symbol space, which is actually all the way up here. Then you also spawn any terrain. So here we get 1 gravestone, which is here. And that goes on the spot here. And gravestones basically block movement. And once you fight the boss, we'll explain what phase you do that in a second.
They also indicate where dead bodies are buried.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're used for. So, okay, so then the heroes have a chance to start in either one of the 3 spaces along the entrance they came into, but obviously not there. I mean, I guess they could start there if they wanted to. Yeah. But the bad guys always activate first. Mm-hmm. So let's say I'm just going to go in the corner and play it safe. And then we're good to go. So the enemies will move first. And the way they move, they have like a behavior card, which is shown here. So the first thing you notice is the initiative order at the top. So the hollow soldier is going to move first, and then the crossbowman will move next. They have 1 life each. They have a physical armor of 1 each, and this one has a magical armor of 1, and this has a magical armor of 0. The way they work is they will do this symbol and then this symbol. So this is like their behaviors. This is their range, and this is how easy they are to dodge. So if there's one dodge icon, it means you need to roll one dodge symbol. So if you have one dodge dice, it's a 50-50 chance of making the dodge roll. So the symbols along the behaviors work like this. So the Hollow Soldier is going to move one towards, this symbol means the nearest enemy to him. So he's going to move, in this example, one space towards me and then do nothing else, because he's not within range 0 to do an attack. All these nodes you can move adjacent to. If he was in my space, he'd be at range 0, and he'd be able to do his attack against the nearest target, an attack of 4. The way you resolve an attack of 4 is you look at all your cards that give you defense value. So in my case, I have this armor and the shield, and the bottom left number is the physical resistance. That means I get 2 black dice. I roll the 2 black dice, just to give you an example. And here I've rolled 3, so I'd only take a grand total of 1 damage, which I'll put on my character sheet, like we said before. Then the crossbow hollows are going to move. They go one away from the character with the aggro token. So in this case, I'll have the aggro token. But in every room you enter, you can choose who starts with the aggro token. So most monsters will either target the nearest or the character with the aggro token. So in this case, I'm the only character, so I'll have the aggro token. So the crossbow hollow is actually going to move one away, because it's a down arrow, from the person with the aggro token. So let's say he goes there, or he goes there, even better. And then he will make a 3 magical damage attack. Now, my only resist for magical damage is 1. So I might just go ahead and try and dodge it using my 1 dodge dice from my armor, which I do. Now, when you dodge, you specify, before you actually make the roll, you have to first take a stamina, because it costs a stamina to dodge, and choose an adjacent node you're dodging to. So let's say I'm dodging forward to this guy, just over here. So, and because I've dodged it, I completely evade the attack. I don't take any damage. If I mess up the dodge, I take all the damage and any other effects to do with the attack. Okay, so let's say he's acted as well, and now it's my turn to go. So on my turn, like I said, my spear has a range of 1, not 0. So I'm able to actually attack to adjacent nodes which aren't my node. So let's say I want to attack this guy here. He has a armor of 1, and I have I basically roll 1 dice. This means I can't attack things in the same space as me, because it fails at range 0. But if I spend 3 stamina, I can add +1 to my roll. So let's say I do that. I take my 3 stamina cubes, which are here. I put them on my board, and then I roll 1 black dice and add 1 to the roll. So that's a 1 + 1, so that's 2. He has an armor of 1, which means it soaks 1 of the armor, and then 1 damage goes through to his health and actually kills him, like that. Yay. So that's how the combat works. The game is sort of set up with several encounters like these before facing a mini-boss. So the general sort of pattern is you do exploration, and then a mini-boss, and then some more exploration, and then a main boss. Between every fight, you can rest at the campfire and spend your souls for winning encounters in a certain way. You win 2 souls per character per encounter. So in this case, I'd win 2 souls if I defeated all these monsters. And then I could spend that at the campfire.
Before we go to the campfire, it might be worth mentioning that... campfire, goddammit!
I couldn't resist any longer. But a 5th time.
What happened?
It's called bonfire.
A node can only hold 3 people in the same space.
Oh, yeah.
If someone tries to enter a space with 3 people in it, they'll do what's called a push, where someone will be moved out onto another adjacent node.
Yeah.
Pushing is very important.
Who you push? Do you choose who you push?
Yeah, the players choose who gets pushed.
Right,
Yeah.
cool.
And pushing is very important. Dark Souls is and the reason it's kind of done with these nodes is it's a game about very dynamic movement. That's why you've got a lot of sort of dodging and pushing and moving around in combat. And you'll see that when we get to the gameplay.
So this is the bonfire tile. Here is the bonfire, and this is where you keep your sparks and this little spinner. Up here is the pool where we put our souls when we get them. We can keep them there, and they're shared between everyone. And this is the loot deck. There are 2 characters here. There's the Andre the Blacksmith, and there is the Firekeeper. Now, Andre the Blacksmith, you can pay him 1 soul per card to buy one of these loots. And let's just turn this over. And most times than not, you'll find that the armor can't actually be used by you until you've leveled up all your stats. But yeah, it costs 1, and if you can't use it, it doesn't matter. You put it in the inventory and you can use it later. You can also spend souls to talk to the Firekeeper to level up your stats to actually use the armor. Now, to go from the base to tier 1 stat, it requires 2 souls, but to go from tier 1 to tier 2, it requires 4 souls, and tier 2 to tier 3, it requires 8 souls. So to go from base to tier 3, it requires a grand total of
14
souls, which is a lot of souls.
That's a lot of souls.
So yeah, the other thing that Andre can do is he can also put slots. So see this piece of armor has 2 upgrade slots. He can also slot in upgrades or like gems and stuff to your armor and weapons. It's free, but you obviously need to be back at this tile to do it. Anything else in this place? You can also choose to just rest at the bonfire, where you take the spark down and you reset everything. You reset all the encounters, because once you've beaten an encounter, the encounter card stays up.
When you clear an encounter, you get all your health back and everything. Your health replenished, stamina replenished, your Restus flask.
Oh yeah.
Luck
So
token.
so after every encounter, all your health and stamina regenerates, but any if your Estus flasks and luck tokens and abilities don't reset, and neither do the encounters. They always stay open and safe to move through. If you ever rest or die and have to return here and use a spark, everything resets back to as it was when you started.
But you can upgrade without. You can visit Andre and the Firekeeper without resetting. Without using up the spark.
Yeah, exactly.
Great.
Cool. So once you've done all the exploration and you think you're ready, you can pass through the fog gate to this new tile here, which is the mini boss fight. If you've already done the mini boss fight, it will be the final boss fights, but here we'll just show you it's the same mechanically,
They work the same way, don't they?
except the main boss fight is 2 boards in size, not just 1. So so this is the mini boss, and the first thing to notice about a mini boss is these arcs down here. Now, lots of his attacks and his movement will be based on these arcs, and a lot of our movement will be based on the arcs. So I'll show you as we play, but just for now, just understand that this arc here, so this arc here, includes this node and these 2 nodes, because these 2 nodes are sort of, because they're along the line, they're part of this arc and this arc. So this arc now includes pretty much every node except this node and this node. So that's just something to be aware of. The boss will turn as he moves around, so all the arcs will change and go all over the place. So every boss has a sort of ID card, which is this. This determines his life. This is actually a misprint. This should say that he's not a main boss, but a mini boss. How many cards are in his behavior deck, which I'll explain. Just his magic and physical resistance like other enemies. His heat up value, which I'll explain in a sec. Special ability, and then what encounters he brings leading up to his fight. So before we get here, we'd have the encounter levels on the board will be 2 level 2 encounters and 2 level 1 encounters. He has 26 health. When he gets down to 13 health, he sort of powers up and does something special. It's called Heat Up. So the 4 cards we take from here, which is his behavior deck, come from all the cards which don't have this Heat Up symbol. There'll be 3. If we put them to one side, and we shuffle these, and we take out 4 of them. And we set the 5th one aside. So on his turn, we'll be flipping these over one by one and seeing what the boss does. So let's just say we flip over the first one, and this means he's going to do an attack. So this is a sweeping strike. It has range 1, and he first does an attack to his left, back, and front arc, and then he's going to move back away from the enemy with the player with the aggro token. So let's just give someone an aggro token. So in this case, let's give him the aggro token. So in this case, he's going to hit all the squares, all
but that corner
around here, basically.
Yeah.
These 3, and then he's going to jump 1 away from this person. So he'll turn to face him, and then he'll jump 1 away to be farthest away from him. Okay, so that's going to stay there. Let's just say he stood there. And now this red little icon here shows the weak spot of the boss. So if someone went up to attack him inside that arc, he'd actually get a bonus black dice. So the way the boss sort of works as a node, he sort of turns 1 node into 4 nodes. So moving from here to here costs 1 movement. Oh, we didn't explain what movement does. So moving from here to here cost 1 movement point. But then going from here to this arc would cost another movement point. You can't move directly to there because you have to enter the arc that you were already in from your previous node.
So to move between the boss's arcs within the node is now a movement point.
Yeah.
Okay,
And if if you're going from here, because you're in both arcs, you can move to either here or here.
Yeah, of course. And could you move from if you were in his front arc right now, could you spend one movement point to move to his rear arc?
No, you'd have to spend 2.
Right. Oh, okay. Wow.
Okay. So, and attacking works the same way. You roll dice, he has a resist value, the armor value, and you'll do damage, and damage will come up on this really handy slider here, where we can track all this health. Next he'll do like another attack, and then he'll keep doing attacks. So this one he'll actually do twice, because it's got this 2 symbol. This symbol means he attacks everyone in the space. This symbol means he'll like just leap and jump on someone. But you'll see that as we play. But once we get to the end of the deck, we don't shuffle it, we just turn it over and start again. Which means that part of the game or part of the strategy is to just remember the order of these cards and how they work. The bit where it mixes up is when you hit that heat up point, where you add one of these 3 super ability cards at random to the deck with all the cards, shuffle them together to make a new deck, and off you go again. Which means that you need to relearn the order, and then there's one mysterious super attack that's going to be coming out that'll do a lot more damage. Something we didn't explain before is how movement works. You can always move 1 space for free. It's called walking. But then every additional space you move costs 1 additional stamina. That's how boss
You can
fights
attack, move, then move, or move, then attack.
Yeah. You can also attack and move, or move and then attack. And
Is using Estus, is that just any time
anytime during your activation, yeah.
Okay, great.
And Estus heals all of your health and stamina.
Yeah.
So you said that the monsters go first, right?
Yes.
And then we all go, and then the monsters go again?
No, sorry. The monsters go first, and the player with the first activation token, if there is one, on the first encounter there won't be one, but whoever has this will activate first. Then all the monsters will activate again, and then the next player in clockwise order will activate.
So all monsters activate every time
Between every person's activation, which is why this is so hard.
Do we choose who has the
in the first very fight, yes, but then the person who starts with this at the beginning of an encounter would have been
He just
the next
continues
person to act
order?
from the last encounter.
And is it clockwise, or do we choose?
Clockwise.
Okay, right, fine.
Yeah. The only person we can choose is to have the aggro token, and after you've done your turn, you then get the aggro token. So when you move into a room, you choose who starts with it, but then after someone acts, they then get the aggro token.
Right. Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
My God, Ben, that was so boring. Let's just play this game.
I'm super excited to play this game. This has been a dream of mine since April last year, May last year. It's been pretty much exactly a year, hasn't it?
Don't lick my bucks.
Pretty much exactly a year.
Woo-wee! Getting saucy.
Don't lick my butt.
Everybody say it
What was
one
that
more
tunnel?
time. I don't think they heard it.
What was that tunnel? The thing that we said last time? Manholes. That was it. Manholes.
Well, it might happen next time, because... Anyway.
Editing.
You have to cover up my manhole with your sword, Chris. No, wait, the other way. Other thing.
Awful.
Okay, come back tomorrow, please, to watch the gameplay of Dark Souls.
Ignore all that
Just ignore that. It's really difficult to play Dark Souls. Also, actually, TMNT might not have come out yet.
That's
what he was saying.
That's cool, man.
It's a really hard game, is the point. And,
And
just
tomorrow.
like the video game.
We might even have to shoot it in 2 seasons. We don't know.
But
But why don't you come back tomorrow and see how it goes for us? And
wish me luck, because I'm playing with 2 casuals here. Do they even Dark Souls?
Says the person who hasn't actually
Hey, look,
before.
Yeah,
So-
but it's got dice, and we've been through this. I am the best dice roller. We're not going through this again. This is like...
Okay, fine. Yeah, fine. All right, we'll see how it pans out. I'm willing to put odds on that.
I thought this was a cooperative game.
Oh yeah, this is a cooperative game. I was going to mention
You're
that.
betting against me now. This one, you're like, no, you're going to fail your die. If I die, we all die.
That's true. Okay.
yeah,
let's
remember,
just play.
if Mike dies, you all die too. Not just... And
we have to
you die in
protect
real life. So please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss tomorrow's gameplay episode, where we'll get started on Dark Souls the board game. And hopefully we'll see you all there. Bye, everyone.
Yeah.
See ya.